Over the years, I've seen people talk about how actors are paid a percentage of the merchandise with their likeness on it, from action figures to lunchboxes to whatever. Also, I've seen it said that George Lucas ripped off the actors by having them sign away their likeness rights. Let's dig more into that and see how they're paid. First, I'll say this video will be about the likeness rights to the average actor. With each actor, depending on how in demand they are, they can ask for different things. If a studio really wants an actor, let's say Tom Cruise, he can work anything he wants to into a deal. But for this video, we'll talk about the average actor. An actor playing a character in the background, or even an actor starring in a film that has no real name power, they really have no power to get any extra deals. When actors sign their contracts for films, using their likeness is worked into that contract. Actors, mostly depending on their role in the film, do get a percentage of the merchandising. However, they're not paid royalties on promotional items, and that's up to the studio to decide what is and isn't promotional use. Movie posters are always promotional use. Happy Meal action figure toys, that again is often seen as promotional. Action figures are a little bit more tricky, and everything's up to the studio's discretion. However, to the studios, action figures are not seen as promotional items. Actors can work into the deal a rate or percentage, and what is and what is not considered merchandising. But again, that's based on the actor. With a lesser known actor, or an actor with no name power, they mostly have to stick with the standard deal. The standard rate for actors is 5% of the net merchandising receipts. That percentage could be spread out if the actor appears along with other actors in a film, such as a t-shirt that shows all the actors from the film. So what is net merchandising receipts? Well, that's really up to the studios. I've done a whole video on how Lucasfilm claims Return of the Jedi had never made a profit as a way not to pay some of the actors. The net merchandising profit, for the most part, is profit that's made after distribution fees and expenses, if there are any. The companies producing and selling the merchandise will get their cut, the stores selling the merchandise will get their cut, the studio will get their cut, and if there's any profit left, a little bit will go to the actors. Merchandising rights based on television show, that can be a little trickier, as their percentage of likeness is mostly worked into the show's contract. But if the show becomes a huge hit, the actor's agent will fight for a bigger percentage of the merchandise and likeness rights. But let's get back to Star Wars, and how George Lucas wouldn't give actors a cut of their likeness. Sure, Lucas didn't give actors any of the percentage of sales of merchandising, but this was not something just Lucasfilm was doing. At the time of the first Star Wars film, almost everything from a studio's point of view was promotion. Toys based on movies were just an afterthought as a way to promote the film, and it was standard for studios, not just Lucasfilm, to have actors sign away their likeness rights with no percentage. Lucasfilm was just doing what all studios were doing, but George Lucas did know there was a future in those likeness rights and a lot of money to be made.
Mark, there's a report that there will be $250 million worth of toys and games and t-shirts and that kind of paraphernalia. Now, will you get any share of those profits?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Not 1 cent?
No. No.
Does that upset you?
Wait a minute, let me think. No, actually, I tried to negotiate before I signed the contract. See, I'm no dummy. I mean, everyone says, did you think it was going to be a hit? I thought it was going to be a big hit. I didn't think it would be cinema history, but I thought it would be a big hit. So I looked and I thought, okay, he signed me for 3. It's like a whole James Bond gig. If they want to put my face on a lunchbox, I called my agent. I said, this before I signed for it. Try to negotiate 1/10 of 1%. That I thought was fair. 1/10 of, and remember there's 100 points. 1/10 of one of those, which I had talked to certain people and they thought it was fair. Well, of course, I was unknown. That's a big laugh. Forget it. But on the other hand, George did give us 1/4 of a point of the film's, I don't know whether it's gross or profit. It mixes me up, but I've gotten checks.
A lot of money?
Well, they say what I have 1/4 of a point. You really want to know all this? Is
Yeah.
Yeah, very substantial.
$1 million or more?
About that, I guess, or
From
a little
the
bit
picture
less
now.
from the
That's
picture.
from the
And they're upping the deals on the sequels to the point where if we're just good soldiers,
And then of course there's loopholes, like with the Funko Pop figures. They may look somewhat like a character, but look nothing like the actor. There, the studio would rake in selling the license rights with nothing going to the actors. But again, that could be different depending on the actor, how much the studio wanted him, and how good his agent is. When you see an action figure and it looks nothing like the actors, most people assume it's because the actor didn't give away his likeness rights. That could be the case, but most of the time it's due to production on the action figures were being done before the actor was officially cast. Such as the Kevin Costner Robin Hood action figure. Production began when Kevin Costner was still in talks to star in the film, but once he signed on, Kenner retooled the head to look more like Kevin Costner. So in short, actors are given 5% of all merchandise profit, but it's up to the studio to decide what is merchandise and what is promotional material, and it's also up to the studios to determine when they've made a merchandising profit. Disney might be raking in millions with the Ray merchandise, but don't expect that money to really get into the pockets of Daisy Ridley. Daisy was an unknown actress at the time, and it's unlikely she got more than a standard deal for her likeness. After all, who would turn down the lead in a Star Wars film because the studio wouldn't give them an extra percentage of their merchandising profit? That would be highly unlikely, and Disney would know that. Well, I want to thank you for watching. As always, thumb up to know you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.